Hi, my name is Stefano Bernardo. Today we're going to be doing something very fun. We are looking at the Premier Grand Cru from one of my favorite wineries in the entire world, Chateau Margaux, coming from the left bank of Bordeaux. And not only any Chateau Margaux, the 2009, which is one of my favorite vintages from my lifetime. Obviously, once you go back a little bit further, they get a little bit more interesting. But in terms of more modern vintages, I think the 2009 is a very powerful, very striking example of what the Chateau has to offer. Now, you know, the Chateau Margaux is a first growth Bordeaux, one of only a couple that was first classified under the rule of Napoleon. These bottles range crazily in price. You know, some of these you can get for $700 a bottle. Once you get to really old, rarer vintages, it's a couple thousand. The 2009 being one of the better vintages, along with 2010, that's starting to enter their prime drinking window right now. This one is around $1,000 a bottle. I see here it's listed for $1,400 on Vivino, for example, which I use to track all my wines. I picked it up a couple years ago for somewhere in the $850 range, but at most restaurants you'll probably see it, if you see it at all, in like the $1,800 to $3,000 a bottle range, depending on how egregious their pricing is. This we're going to do is a little bit something different. I'm not going to drink it immediately. We are going to pour it into the decanter, give it a few minutes, and then probably about an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then we're going to see how it's drinking at that point to give it time to really show off its true potential. So we'll go ahead and get it open, we'll go ahead and get it in the decanter, and then we'll come back in a bit to talk about it. All right, we already did poured a little splash to see how the decanter looks on camera. I thought it looked pretty cool, so we'll go ahead and pour the rest in here and hopefully not make too much more of a mess with it as I try. And the reason for using this, if you're not aware, is it tries to get as much surface area onto each drop of the liquid as possible to get the aeration going for the wine. And then we have the filter at the top to capture any of the sediment. But I've had this standing up for a bit. I'm not sure if we're gonna have too much sediment actually coming out of the bottle. We'll see how that goes. But the wine goes down, it goes down through a spiral and exits in several different spots before emptying out into the bottom basin. So that gives basically the wine as much time as possible to get access to air, to help start getting the tannins to freshen up and open up for us, and kind of expedite the decanting process. So in only an hour, hour and a half, we should see an expression of the wine that might take a lot longer if we were just going to open it normally. So we'll see how this does for us. Still a little bit on the label, but that's okay, it's still pretty. As you can see, we have some of the sediment lined up on the side where I had it lying. It's a bit stuck in the bottom of the bottle, not coming out, which is really lovely. Sometimes it gets a little bit messy, but it did pretty good there. So we'll see you in about an hour and a half. Okay, it's been about an hour and 45 minutes now. It's already smelling really nice. A lot of earthy, leathery, smoky smell. It's really, hopefully, opening up quite nice. I go ahead and pour it a bit, make sure it's good to go. If not, we'll revisit it, but I have a feeling she's already going to be ready for us. Let's take a peek here. Oh yeah, in the glass is wonderful. Oh, really powerful fruit. Some dark fruit like blueberry, blackberry, currant, little creme de cassis. It's a little bit tobacco-y, but more of like a woody taste, and the finish is really long. Really good finish on this too. Really clean alcohol. What I love about Margaux is that as you let it open up, it kind of shows you different sides of it, and each side is equally powerful. You get that leather, you get that earthy, you get that wood, you get that rich dark fruit, you get a little bit of everything. The complexity kind of shows off a bit, and is not only powerful but also elegant in a way, right? You don't have the massive punch of the alcohol that you'll get from either a lesser quality or a younger Bordeaux. You don't get the heavy tannic taste of younger or lower quality Bordeaux. You kind of get all of the best things that you could possibly want from a wine of this style without having any of the drawbacks of something that maybe is a lower budget. I get asked all the time by friends about what are you paying for when you pay for $1,000 a bottle. And honestly, the name, really. A wine like this is something that you're showing off, flexing with. Is it that much better than a wine that's $500 and that's $300? Yes and no. I would argue that once you hit about like the $350 price tag for wine, for the average person's palate, you kind of hit the upper echelon of what you're getting in terms of body, finish, how smooth it is, how tannic it is, and anything after that, you're pretty much just paying for the name. You're paying for the prestige of drinking a 2009 First Growth. You're paying for the prestige of drinking a cult Cabernet, maybe a rare Burgundy or something like that. Is it worth it all the time to drink something like this? Probably not. I enjoy it every so often, and usually will take advantage if you go to like a Wally's or somewhere else with a really phenomenal by the glass list and you're looking to splurge a couple to experience something fun. That to me is what you're paying for, right? You're paying for the experience. It's like paying to go see Hamilton, paying $400 to get nosebleeds just to be there for Hamilton. It's kind of the same thing I see with these wines where you're not buying it for the wine, you're buying it for the experience of experiencing a wine that has history dating back to Napoleon, that has a body and style to it that is this intense. And there are some wines like some of the Domaine de la Romanée-Contis that I really love, that for a couple thousand a bottle up to 15,000 a bottle, you get to a whole nother level of mouthfeel, texture that something like this does not provide. But for $1,000 you're getting pretty much anything you could possibly want out of wine. It's got the complexity, it's got the finish, it's got the power, it's got the subtle class to it that you have to kind of sit there and mull over. And as you sit there drinking this over 2 or 3 hours, you can kind of see it develop. So when I do an event with a wine like this, we typically will all sip some of it the second it's poured to see how it is right out of the bottle, and then we'll sip together 30 minutes in, then an hour in, then an hour and a half, and etc., to kind of experience the development of the wine in the glass as well. When you're drinking something like this by the bottle, please do it with friends. Please do it with people that are curious, inquisitive about wine, because that's really what makes the experience of opening something like this so special. And also, if you're splitting $1,000 6 ways, it's not as bad of a price, you know, for a really fun Friday or Saturday night activity, or if, during the week, if you know, if that's what you do as well. So we drink wines like this through my wine group in DC all the time. The link is in the description. In the meantime, please like, subscribe, let me know in the comments if there's any other fun bottles you'd like me to open, and maybe, you know, I'll actually listen to some of it. So have a good one. Thank you.